Hello, welcome to Geekism, and welcome back to Geekism Studios, Hollywood / Universal Studios style park here in Planet Coaster. And today we are exiting through the gift shop of the Subnautica ride. Subnautica ride is done. Pretty much. A couple of little tweaks to do, but it is near enough finished. I wanted to keep that final little stage as a bit of a surprise for the POV. So the POV for that will be out later this week. As far as Planet Coaster is concerned, it's done. I still need to do a little bit of work on the voiceover and an audio track and stuff, which is obviously happening out of the game to get put in. So it's probably still going to be, close to a week before it's really out there to show people. But the game is finished, and one thing we really need to do is finish this last area, which is exiting through the gift shop. First of all, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know by clicking on the like button. And if you're new here and you'd like to see lots more creative gaming, all you have to do is click subscribe. So, pretty much simple. We're doing a gift shop. This is very much inspired. I always wanted a gift shop. The space has always been there for it. But really pushing through with it and making it happen is very much inspired by SP Ridley's amazing Superman the Ride recreation. I'm not too sure where it's from, but he's basically doing a one-for-one recreation of a Superman ride, I think, in Spain. And oh my god, it is absolutely stunning, including the most detailed gift shop I've ever seen in the game. It really is fantastic. Now, we are not going to anywhere near the detail of that because I just haven't got the time or the inclination or the ability, I don't think, to be honest with you. But wow, it really is fantastic. And I thought there's a couple of things I have sort of ripped from there. One of them being these lights, emergency lights turned upside down. They make great cups, great mugs, great sort of like flasks, I guess. Those kind of those coffee cups that you can buy. And then other than that, it's really just kind of finding stuff that is small enough that could act as some kind of bit of souvenir, I suppose. Like I say, with SP Ridley's one, he goes to the point of actually trying to recreate all the t-shirts and everything. It's ridiculously good. There'll be a link in the description to it. For me, really, I just kind of wanted stuff that would sit on a shelf and kind of make sense. We've got the scorpions there. You see those in the queue line. The other things, I don't know, maybe like snow globes, t-shirt, teddy bears, or just sort of... there you've got some tablets. They kind of look a little bit like the tablets in the game, These obviously are going to be, eggs play a big part in the game, so that's what I kind of thought there. Some of the other gems work quite well as well, just some sort of random stuff. Sometimes, usually in these top-end parks like Studios parks, the merchandise is relatively nicely themed and they have models and stuff, but I know a lot of times in smaller parks they kind of have just like... just like stuff with the logo stuck on, so you can buy key rings, pens, stationery kits, and there's nothing really themed about them other than the logo's just kind of stuck on there. But so a few of the bits are a bit like that. But here we've got trying to get a bit of a combination of sort of organic matter and sci-fi stuff, because that's kind of what Subnautica is all about. It's very much a mix of animals and science fiction. So we've got some grubs and some sci-fi things. I don't know, those sci-fi things maybe like a box or that there's got some models in or something, I don't know. And then the other side we have some t-shirts, again keeping these pretty simple, just sort of the various colours of them. Kind of go with blue to start off with, because obviously Subnautica's we're a water-based ride, so these would probably be ones that show the Subnautica logo. And then we just sort of change the colours up in a yellow and a black, just to kind of vary a little bit, really. And then place those onto hangers, and then underneath we have all the different sizes. That's kind of like the idea here. Lots of fun building this, to be honest. I had a look at a couple of gift shops on Google Images as best as I could, and this isn't really particularly based on anyone in particular, but I've definitely taken some ideas from them. For instance, this here, this was taken from just a regular clothes shop, an Urban Outfitters, I think it was. This sort of row of t-shirts on racks, but then actually most of the sizes are underneath folded up. Primark in the UK often does this as well. So really the ones on the racks are more for show, if anything. Then you sort of reach down underneath and grab the size you want, which is what these sort of art shapes are trying to represent here. We've said it before, we'll say it again. Whenever you're building to a relative scale in Planet Coaster, especially this sort of smaller scale, you're gonna hit issues, and you're going to have to sort of make compromises, because the game's just not really built for this kind of scale. I think it handles it quite well when you're a bit creative with the pieces, but obviously there are no souvenir props, and all of the sort of smaller props that would be held by a person are a little bit larger, because of the original scale in the game that they went for is sort of a little bit sort of grandiose and a little bit over the top. We have some restrooms here. These are mostly put here to get some people through the shop, really, just to kind of get a bit of movement through the shop, because otherwise, there's no throughput here. Really, probably, if I'd have got a bit more room and a bit more planning, where the restrooms are is where the ride would have kicked out, so you actually have to walk through the shop. Here, you can quite easily just dart past the shop. The shop's on the right as you come out, and you can kind of miss the whole thing if you wanted to. And really, from a proper theme park point of view, they would have you actually physically walk through it. Like, there's no way of getting out of it, basically. You have to go through the shop. So really, probably with a little bit more planning, I did look at doing that when I started making out the store here. Unfortunately, I can't, just because it's so close to the ride. Pretty much the back wall there on the right, the other side of that is the ride, basically. So we're a little bit limited for space there. So we do it this way instead. Like I said, the restrooms there just acts as a bit of a way of getting some actual peeps through the shop, make it look a bit more alive, make it look a bit more used. There's another bit of work we do just outside the front of the building as well in a moment, and because of how the game works as well, that's another way of getting people into the ride, but we'll get onto that in a moment. Next up, on-ride photos. Again, big part of theme parks. They make a lot of money on these, I imagine. They're a huge upsell. They're really expensive for basically a relatively cheaply printed photograph that constantly runs. These things are everywhere. You can usually get... I was at Blackpool Pleasure Beach the other day for Icon's opening, and they were selling photos for £10 each. Or they had a digital-only version. You could get like a wristband that gave you all the digital photos, and that was £30 just for photographs. I personally think they're an absolute waste of money, because you get them home and you never look at them again. I don't know anyone who has these up on their mantelpiece or anything. I'm not one for on-ride photos myself, to be honest. But if you are, that's cool. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever sort of wets your whistle or whatever. It's fine. Go for it. But personally, I don't ever buy them. But they always have them. In pretty much every ride you go on there really has them, and to some points they have them really quite like shoehorned in. I remember one of them, Galactica, which is a retheme of Air at Alton Towers. It was one of these ones where they added VR onto them. So obviously they couldn't do regular on-ride photos, because it would just be photographs of people's heads with VR sets on their heads. So what they did was have this bit that you walk into on the way into the queue. Whilst you're queuing up, you stick your head in, and it basically takes like a passport photograph of your head. And then you could buy just a picture of your face at the end of it, which, like, I understand that they kind of have to try and still have this sort of shoehorned in. This is interesting. What I'm trying to do here is get some staff members behind the counter, and you can't rotate staff members, so you have to pick them up facing the direction you want them to be. So sometimes you have to build a bit of path like that, so that they all start walking in the direction that you need them to be, and then you can pause the game and pick them up, and then use the technique that I went over in my 1.4 video, where you can get them to stand still. It's a bit of a barge still, and there is this weird bug where they kind of click between a happy animation and a bored animation, which is, but I personally think it's better than using an animatronic. They're the right size, they look a bit better, they look more like the peeps. So personally, it's the way I like to go about doing it is that way. But I know some people will throw down an animatronic, especially now with the the studios animatronics. The businessmen or the businesswomen, they're a bit more generic. I know before a lot of time you'd have to stick down like a pirate animatronic, and it was always a bit of a random mess. This is one of the walls I've done there as a billboard. I just done that. We're going to throw some water image on it, basically. I thought that'd be a nice way to sort of break the wall up a little bit. We also use those new studio, I think they're meant to be windows. They're a window wall piece. It's a bit of a weird set, that one, to be honest, that came with studios, but I think it works quite nice there as the back of a store front, I suppose. Excuse me, just taking a drink. I've got a bit of a dry throat. And then here, some really light theming on the entranceway of the ride itself. Again, we've talked about this before. The studios itself would always be there, and then all this kind of stuff gets added depending on the theme of the ride. It's all stuff that's kind of are relatively easy to take off as well when they need to. In sort of 10, 15 years when they retheme it or whatever. Here we've got Stroller Park. One thing I was going to do is, I forgot to do it actually, was take some of the strollers from the ones that we built in Pinewood, where they're pushchairs over there because it's in the UK, but we have some really good strollers that we've already built for Pinewood, so I need to go over and save them as a blueprint and bring them across here, just to kind of just throw some assets down and make my life a bit easier, because it's already done, so why do it twice? Here then, I wanted to do this for quite a while actually. We have a small water area on the entrance of the park. But one thing I wanted to get across was this sort of like theming that sort of trickles out from the ride, and is relatively light theming, but kind of, and also creates a photo point. They have these a lot in Studios Park, or just the larger parks in general, Disney and things like that. Just sort of areas where photographs can be taken. fountains, gardens, statues, just sort of like funny things to look at. I'm thinking things like the big Jaws shark that was hanging down in Universal that you could go and have your photo taken on. Just lots of places where it just makes great photo opportunities. And years ago, it would just be there for you to take your own photograph. Now they usually have a guy stood there who will take your photograph for you, again, for a fee. So that's kind of the theme, the idea I'm going for here is basically a way you can have your photo taken. And we're going to reuse an asset. We're going to reuse the sea moth, or the sea sparrow, if you followed our series of Subnautica, that's in the ride currently, and also people voted that that bit of orange can go there, and we stick that there. And again, it's just a place that people can come and grab a photo, and a nice memory of their day in the park. A little bit of lighting, and then also we place down one of those photo. I don't know what they're called, Vista Points. There we go, Vista Points pop down. They are so OP at the moment because there's no actual ride open. But in a moment, I don't know whether we get it on screen or not. Sorry about this. I'm sat in the dark here trying to get some lighting fixed. But then I'm also seeing where people stop. The problem with the Vista Points is people sort of go to them first and then go and see what the Vista Point tells them to look at. And as you can see here, they're massively OP. I'm just going to have a look around all the others. They're full of people. Basically, I think that's because there's no ride available. In a moment, I actually open the Subnautica ride because I want to see what the sort of throughput at the exit of the ride is, and see how busy that sort of shop area gets with people going to the bathroom and stuff like that. So when that opens, pretty much the Vista Points, they stop being these crazy things that everyone turns up to, because at the moment they're one of, as far as the game is concerned, one of the only things that people can do in the ride is go and look at stuff. So we open up Subnautica. I actually go and finish off, literally throw the end of the movies ride round as well. Obviously not finished, but complete the track so that can get opened as well, just to kind of spread the guests out a little bit, because as soon as I clicked Subnautica opening, everyone just piled onto it. They all got stuck at the entrance. They all couldn't squeeze through. So I opened up the other ride as well. Obviously, it's not finished. We're going to be going back over that as we play the game further. But here we're just sort of adding a bit of detail to the path. As we come into Subnautica, we're reusing the trees here, so that's like a running theme throughout the area. And we place some trash cans down, trying to find somewhere to stick that Vista Point out of the way. It doesn't really work. We just leave it there. It's fine. We'll let go of it. And then just have a quick look around. I don't know what I'm looking at there. But then finally, I wanted to come and see. So this Vista Point is quite interesting because people actually walk into the shop and turn to look at the Subnautica, because they obviously don't recognise the wall of the shop there. But actually, I'm quite happy with it because it looks like they're browsing the shop. So it looks like they're people wander in and stop and have a look at the t-shirts or whatever, and come back out again, which is pretty good. Finishing off with a bit of lighting there. So we carry on the lighting that we've got in the queue. But then obviously we want the shop to be much brighter, so that everything's a bit more visible. So we go in and using lots of different spots with this sort of blue hue, because obviously, we want to kind of carry the water theme on as much as we can. In real life, they would probably have those sort of shaped lights. I don't know what you would call them, like almost like a projector, sort of wavy things on the ground, which would be pretty good. But there you go. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, you can give us a like. It really helps out the channel. And if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe. Any thoughts, queries, or suggestions, you can pop those down in the comments. And if you fancy a chat, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at John T. Sparrow. If you'd like to join in with the Geekism community, you can do so over on our Geekism Discord server. You'll find the link for that in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.